No.
Man, you know I made the biggest fuck Trump song ever.
Fuck Donald Trump, that was your song?
Yeah, that's my shit.
No way, bro.
Yeah, bro, you know that?
I didn't even know that.
You feel me? That's me and Nip shit.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Damn, congratulations.
So I wondered, like, what he gonna, like, if I ever met the nigga, like, what he gonna say? Other than me.
He probably like, it's a good song. He probably would.
What is up? My name is Eric. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. This, of course, is the epicenter for all of your current and captivating coastal elite chaos. So please hit that subscribe button, like the video, ring the notification bell, leave a comment or two, share this with a friend. Let's go. I think the turns might be tabling right now.
Well. How the turntables...
There was once a point where it was basically illegal to be a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. I'm sure you could be in the closet. The left absolutely loves that. But now there's a handful of things that might back up the idea that people are starting to see through this. So recently, Beau Biden had the State of the Union, and Marjorie Taylor Greene forced him to say the name Lincoln Riley. He called her illegal. There was backlash about that. Then the White House walked back the apology, and now you even got some people who are mad at Marjorie Taylor Greene for using the phrase "say her name."
And now we have Marjorie Taylor Greene using "say her name." And mind you, "say her name" was created by Kimberly Crenshaw, the woman who coined the term intersectionality, to talk specifically about the invisibilized violence that Black women face at the hands of police. And now it's been co-opted fully by this racist MAGA fascist to push back against immigration. And this is exactly what happens when you don't respect the intellectual contributions that Black women make to the movement.
Because that belongs to a certain group of people. Then you got Cartel Katie Hobbs, the completely corrupt, installed governor of Arizona, who vetoed a GOP-authored bill to secure the border in Arizona, which is strange because the Democrats did that on a federal level, and when the Republicans didn't sign the bill, that was obviously just going to give a whole bunch of money to Ukraine and Israel and even Gaza. It was all the fault of the Republicans. But when the Republicans in Arizona draft a bill that Katie Hobbs, Cartel Katie, doesn't want to sign, does it now become the fault of the Democrats? I'm not quite sure. Then you have Tish James, of course, suing Donald Trump for $600 million, billion, trillion dollars or whatever, and getting booed at a fire department ceremony in New York because most people can see through it. Then you've got Big Fat Furious Fannie Pack Willis. That entire case has turned into a circus. It was once about getting Donald Trump for election interference, and it boomeranged directly back in her face, and it's all about her and her relationship with weirdo lover boy Nathan Wade, and I'm sure we're not done hearing about that. Then you've got the good folks over at WPATH saying what we already know, which is transformer surgeries are no good for anybody, but in particular children. Then you got greaseball, scumbag, bang your wife, Governor Gavin Newsom in California facing his second recall. Then they say that the city of San Francisco has shifted to the right, which isn't really true, but I guess the voters said that they're now going to allow the cops to arrest people and stop handing out money to dope fiends. And London Breed, who paid nearly $23,000 in ethics violations fines, she is facing an uphill battle for her re-election. Then you've got Mayor Shang Tao in Oakland, who is facing a recall. The Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price is also facing a recall. We all also remember when the former San Francisco DA Chesa Boudin, son of domestic terrorists, got recalled a couple years ago. Woke kindergarten, which I guess they were trying to wedge into schools, and they only destroyed it even further after cleaning up $250,000. In Oregon, they recriminalized drugs because I guess in 2020 they decriminalized drugs because of Saint Fentanyl Floyd. Then, of course, you've got the 9-0 Supreme Court decision in favor of keeping the big, bad, mean orange man on the ballot. All that aside, I wanted to take a look back at a video I shot on November 7th of 2020 when I was in Wisconsin, and you'll see several things. Of course, this looks like what you might expect CW2 to look like, two factions coming up, basically face to face. But you'll also notice that everything is boarded up because there was so much love and acceptance around. Even the state capitol in Madison, Wisconsin was boarded up. So let's take a look at what was going on last election season. And okay, little bit of context here. I was in Wisconsin because I was trying to get to a Trump rally when my car broke down, and I ended up taking it to a dealership in Madison, Wisconsin. And I'm actually on my way to go retrieve my fixed, busted up car when I ran into this scene. And you can see here the BLM protesters, they got their flags, and they are, of course, playing YG FDT. He has since done a complete 180, which is part of what I'm talking about here. Yeah, look, they got a truck, they got their flags, and look at all the buildings in the background are all completely boarded up, and people were pretending that was normal. I was walking around the neighborhood, and people were sitting outside of a boarded up coffee shop, sipping coffee, putting their mask up and down, pretending it made sense.
That's how we feel.
All right, let's turn the music off so we don't get any copyright strikes or whatever. But you can see here this mob of, super non-racist protesters are going to meet up with a contingent of Trump supporters right in front of the Wisconsin State Capitol in Madison, which is boarded up. And there you could see the Trump supporters with their American flags and Wisconsin for Trump and all that stuff. It's kind of weird without the music, but whatever. Maybe we can we turn it back on and talk over it and they won't strike me? Oh yeah, they shouldn't strike this part. And you can hear them chanting there on the left side of the screen, I suppose. They're chanting USA. Oh. Keep going. And for the record, he didn't know what he was talking about. He knew it was hot at the time. That's why he made the song. People actually loved it. But we now know that maybe he didn't really mean that. He's far too successful to back Bo Biden at this point in his life. I don't know. But they all doing 180. Snoop Dogg did the same thing. He was out there holding a toy gun to an effigy of Trump, and now he's like, he freed my boy from Death Row Records. We're good now. I have nothing but respect and love. It's ridiculous. And for the record, right, we all remember that the Orange Man was on network television for many years before he decided to run for president. USA, along with FDT coming out good. And look, I think now what most people say is, it's an informational war. And that is correct. It totally is. But I think what I witnessed here back on November 7th of 2020 was exactly what people might expect the second coming of civil conflict to look like. And you'll also notice most of the BLM protesters are not BLs. So look, this is pretty crazy, right? Like, this is the lines are drawn here, and I would venture to say that all of the people on the right, they didn't know what they were getting into. Maybe they've changed their mind at this, point in time, but they didn't know what they were doing. They had just been completely brainwashed, manipulated, controlled by the mainstream media, and they're waving their flags ostensibly because a weird guy died in Minneapolis, which, I don't know, I'm no geography major, but I don't think it's near Madison, Wisconsin. And then, I mean, it's so predictable. You can see even here, they got their disabled mascot up front, which is really weird. That's them trotting this person out front. Maybe it's not a disabled person, but with a broken leg. So I'm sure he's walking by. I'm not sure. He's probably walking by now. But these are the people. They put the kids and the cripples in front as a shield from what they plan on doing. And nothing happened here. Maybe it got a little rough and tumble at night after I was long gone. But I also want to... Look at this guy. I mean, he's right up front. Like, why are you getting in the face? And here's... look, I'm all over the place, but this guy wants to get in the face of the Trump supporters, and then you have this media personality here with his mask on. It never made sense, but it was a little bit more realistic in late 2020 than it is in 2024. There's also people out there now saying, oh, I can't believe you stopped masking. Different story. I want to see... Wisconsin for Trump. And I want to see, there she is. It's probably tough to see from this angle, but this person right here with the like weird grayish, purplish hair and the flannel around her waist, that is the leader. That is the person with the megaphone leading the charge of the BLM protesters. And from this angle, I don't know if, okay, it looks like there's maybe one black guy, but this is the weirdo white savior complex, your brain on MSDNC, just going to bat for the regime without knowing what the hell's happening. Look, oh my word, look at this. There's another like fat, chubby, sort of, I don't want to, incel is their word, but like weirdo kind of like dude, like, oh yeah, man, orange man bad. It doesn't make any sense. And I think in the span of nearly 4 years, I think that even these people, with all the events I rattled off, have seen the light by now. Look at that. Oh my word. That was the person, pasty pale, completely out of shape, with the midriff showing, chanting Black Lives Matter to a bunch of Trump supporters. And on the other side of the spectrum, and much more recently, I suppose, but this woman doesn't give me the feeling that she was on the side of the BLM protesters 4 years ago. But that aside, this I believe to be the complete opposite side of that spectrum, and what the mainstream media hates to see. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know where this video came from. This is from Dave Rubin, which different story. But this has been floating around on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram, and I don't know exactly where it's from, and I don't really have anything to add to what she's saying, but I think this is the polar opposite of the weird, pasty, pale, out of shape, midriff BLM protester screaming at Trump supporters. Now what would that carbon-based life form say to this woman?
The Democratic Party, they promote black women. Particularly if she's a lesbian. Yes. They promote black women who are not even qualified. We have seen with the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is really racism, which is really saying, well, black people just, darn it, they're not smart enough, so we have to give them handouts.
And I think, I'm not certain, but I think this video was shot before whatever happened, and we got nonstop stories about plane crashes, and she's talking about DEI. I think this was before that, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Was this type of thing always happening with the planes, and it just didn't make the news, and now it is? I don't know, but I do know that either way, it is not a good look.
And you're pushing black women who are not qualified. Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard. Now the head of diversity at Harvard is also accused, if I have it correctly, of plagiarism. And we'll get to Fannie Willis, who was elected as a DA in Fulton County, Georgia, primarily because she's black, in my opinion. And we see.
Hang on. So what's happening here? I truly don't know. If there's some background on this, I'd love to hear a little bit about it, because it seems like there's a, 60-ish black woman in a room full of white guys talking about how terrible the Democratic Party is. And I don't think she's new to this, but this has gone viral fairly recently in the grand scheme. And another event that leads me to believe the tables are in fact turning. The turnings are tabling.
Case after case. But the black man, where is he? That's done deliberately. And it started really in the 60s, where the Democrats pushed policy, right, that said to women, particularly black women, you don't need a man in the home. We'll give you more money if you're single. And I grew up in the 70s, and I saw the effects. I saw it in the 80s.
Yep. So she's clearly not new to this, and she would have been a welcome voice of reason during the Summer of Love.
The broken home. Now it's more dysfunctional home, where you have some women with 8 children by 5 different fathers. Exactly. They don't know who their fathers are, in and out. It has almost destroyed the black community. But they're doing it in a different way now. They're promoting black women and want black men to be down here. And I think black men sense that. And they know that Trump relates to them. They relate to Trump very well.
Maybe you want to tell that to Bakari Sellers or Andrew Gillum, who they go on their show and literally tell you. Al Sharpton quite literally says, shame on you for not doing what we said. Bakari Sellers says, we only got 2 choices. Donald Trump is so dangerous. Then you got Andrew Gillum, who of course was found in a Miami hotel with 2 male prostitutes and liquid Viagra, telling you gotta vote for Beau Biden. What would those people say to this woman?
Obama was, a plant. He did nothing for the black community.
Nobody even knows who he is.
Did he ever come back to Chicago with as much crime to talk to young black men? No. He doesn't give a damn.
He doesn't.
Now, I was under the impression that these mean old white men would probably have burned this woman at the stake by now. What's happening?
He doesn't.
Barack Obama is a curse on this nation. So is Joe Biden.
I think it's the black. Yes.
We provided the money for his Marxist socialist programs, pushing abortion in Africa and other things. He didn't care about us.
No.
He didn't care. That gave rise to Trump, because Trump actually listened to us. He actually cares. Many of us, it was bad. At least Bill Clinton BS'd and said, I feel your pain.
Yeah, and Slick Willie Clinton, right? Blue dress, Monica Lewinsky, he didn't put out any shoes, at least not that I heard of.
But at least he said it. Barack Obama didn't give a damn. He should have never been elected. Before he was elected in 2000, he got elected in 2008, my mother sent, may God rest her soul, letters to black churches warning them about Barack Obama, saying he was so ungodly. I said, Mom, that's harsh. She wrote it anyway. That's right. And everything my mother said, may God rest her soul.
So, look, clearly she's talking about her mother. So clearly she's not new to this. And I truly don't know what she does or where she comes from. But how is this woman's message not getting through to the millions of people who are completely brainwashed and manipulated? Because, as we know, there was only blind allegiance and aggressive opposition. None of those protesters, none of these Krasensteins or weirdo Democrat social media hacks are going to back up any of the policies that Beau Biden or the Democrats for probably the past decade have put into place. We all remember when they were tough on the borders, they were tough on crime, and somewhere along the line, that ship sailed.
Was right. He hates this country, but he wants to live off the fat of the land. Like the founders of Black Lives Matter, they don't give a damn about black people. They didn't have to spend one dime to help build a black business. But these lesbians, they bought homes in predominantly white neighborhoods. See, they say they hate capitalism, but they love to use us and live off of capitalism while they spout an anti-God, anti-America rhetoric.
So right. I just think you're in a
Black community. They put us in danger. No, not all black people are drug dealers or this or that, but you're harming the average black who lives in an area that is high crime. When you talk about defund the police, and we saw the other day in New York City, where you have illegals beating up NYPD officers. That went viral. But
Okay, so we have a pretty good, we can sort of pinpoint when this happened, whenever those migrants attacked the cops, I don't know, sometime in January or something in New York. So this is fairly new footage. She's clearly not new to this. She knows this. Her mom gave her the game. And I don't know, I think she should go on like Jesse Lee Peterson or something. Maybe she has and I missed it.
under Trump, something like that would have been dealt with immediately. He would have spoken out immediately.
All right. Well, there you have it. And she goes on to talk about Alvin Bragg. Actually, okay, let's let her finish.
Alvin Bragg, from what I understand, helped them to get out.
no bail.
Yeah.
They got their
No bail.
And here is a good one I think really drives the point home. BET goes to the barbershop, because that's where the blacks hang out, to figure out why they might not want to vote for Bo Jiden anymore. And this first guy here, he kind of puts it nicely. Oh, well, it's a consideration. Just say how you feel, bro. Say what's really on your mind.
Why did you vote for President Biden in the last
Because
election?
of who he ran with, and he was in the White House for the 8 previous years.
Okay, so the first time I voted for Bo Jiden because of who he ran with, basically saying, oh, Kamala Harris is a beautiful, black, brave woman. Of course, she's only been completely destructive, to put it nicely.
I felt like he had the experience, but definitively right now, I couldn't tell you that if they open the polls tomorrow, I'm voting for Joe Biden.
So what?
That means you won't, right? Oh, I couldn't tell you. Dude, so you did one thing, it didn't work, and now you're saying, well, I couldn't tell you for sure. Even because somehow, some way, people are still sort of afraid. Certain places, maybe this is a deep Democrat stronghold, but people are still afraid to voice their opinion. There's also that clip that recently went viral of 2 girls out on the pier or whatever who refrain from saying that there are only 2 genders on camera because they know these people, this left-wing establishment, rules by force. They are bullies.
Changed.
Life, the inflation, and the things that we're going through right now. I want the right person so that I'm not paying $8 for eggs, $15 for gas.
Even though things may be improving economically, you feel there's a disconnect.
Yeah,
Even though things may be improving economically, you feel there may be a disconnect. Well, yeah, it's because they're not. You can see story after story after story of, oh, inflation goes back up after, recovering a little bit, after making some gains, after prices going down a little bit. But of course, they measure from the highest point, and then it goes down a little bit and they try to take credit, and goes back up and they don't want to talk about it. So they completely, yes, very clearly there's a disconnect, because the things that the mainstream establishment media, the things that they're saying just isn't real life, right? And they always act surprised by this. Like, how do you not believe us? How do you not believe what we're telling you, what we've been telling you for the past 6 or 8 years? How are you not understanding this? And he literally says, well, because I live and I breathe.
there is a disconnect. But the way these last 3 or 4 years have been, this is the worst it's ever been in my life. I never would have even considered thinking about voting for Donald Trump. But living in America these last 4, it's a consideration.
A consideration that's reflected in some polls. While 77% of likely black voters say they intend to support Mr.
And why are they so angry about this, right? These are the same people that are supposed to be uplifting black voices, and you want to help the community, but it really just boils down to obey what we tell you on every level. But for some strange reason, they are not hitting the black community, quote unquote, over the head with the transformer stuff, because they know that's not going to fly. Just ignore that. But keep in mind that the man who built the structure that we're constantly told is completely racist, he's the guy for the job, even though he's more than 80 years old. And of course, there is no discussion of policy. And that's why the left has taken it so far away from policy, because they can't win on rational, sane arguments. So they just eliminate that as a talking point, right? If you don't agree with everything we say, this isn't about policy. It's about morality, even though it's all completely backwards. So either way, it's a lose-lose as far as a rational person is concerned, but it works in their favor to say, oh, well, this isn't about, keeping crime down. This isn't about making sure that cities aren't overrun with illegals. This is about compassion and forgiveness.
Who at times sit on opposite sides of the aisle.
So even though you have political
And this is the one that I believe went really quite viral, this interview here. And it pretty much, now obviously this is just one couple. They do not speak for everybody, but I think this is a pretty good example and perhaps proof that the turns have tabled.
differences, it's not a deal breaker.
No, it's not a deal breaker.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So in 2008 and 2012, you voted.
And that's pretty normal. That's how it used to be. I'm not saying it's normal for couples to be on completely opposite sides of the political spectrum, but there was a point in time when people weren't rabid and angry and spiteful and vengeful about people who they had disagreed with on morality, because it's not even policy.
Voted for
Barack Obama.
2016.
I voted for Donald Trump.
Hillary Clinton.
2020.
Donald Trump.
Biden.
And who will you vote for in 2024?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
And there you have it. The turns have tabled. Now, she doesn't do a great job of articulating why she plans on making this switch. She kind of talks out of both sides of her mouth, but she knows that something's changing.
You may vote for the former president.
I may.
Why do you say that?
And again, there they are being sort of like, tepid. They're not saying, no, this doesn't work. I'm going to go put on my MAGA hat. They're saying, oh, I might. Well, it's on the table. I might consider it, just like Michael Rappaport, but different story.
My views on certain things have changed.
Oh, wait, go back just a couple seconds, because she says her views have changed, but then she says, I've been doing the same thing and now I got to change. I don't know.
Why do you say that?
My views on certain things have changed. I am very much so riding the fence.
Now, I would venture to say that her views haven't changed. As the old saying goes, the left left me. I didn't leave the left, but they've been gaslighting people into believing that they're the ones that have gone completely insane when obviously it's the party.
What are you struggling with?
Being in a pattern of doing the same thing that I've been doing, because it's kind of like second nature. Like when you go in a poll, you hit Democrat. Something has to happen. I mean, it's just so expensive to survive. And we're planning on having kids. I don't want to live in a stressful environment trying to rub two pennies together to try to make it either.
Yeah, well, so on one hand, she says, oh, some of my views have changed, and I would argue that's not true. And then she says, well, I've been doing the same thing, and something needs to change. And while she doesn't know exactly what's happening, something is clearly happening, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
I met him 2 times. Yeah, do black people fuck with him more? It seems like, to me, it seemed like more black guys would mess with Trump because he seems more like connected to the culture a little bit.
Hey, look, I ain't gonna lie, bro. The black community was not fucking with Trump. You know what I'm saying? But when that PPP shit and all that shit came out, black people forgave him.
Because he helped out?
Yeah. I'm speaking on the motherfuckers in the hood and shit in the streets. I'm speaking on their behalf. You feel me? Let them tell it. You feel me? This is what they say.
Yeah.
Shit. Biden ain't did nothing for us. That nigga Trump was passing out money. We fuck with Trump. I'm like, damn, so y'all back with Trump just like that, huh? niggas like, hell yeah, nigga was passing out money.